Hello everyone, my name is James, and I'm gonna be reading for you all Tumblr and 4chan and internet romance. So it should be fun. Let's go. Let's hop right into this. 4chan was anxious to get going. He knew he didn't have much time. He had to be back at his dorm before 12 because he had a 7 a.m. web design midterm in the morning. He walked down the stairs in Linux Hall at the Tech and Design College, but made his way to the foyer. Omegle was waiting at the security desk, just like he said he would. He held out a keycard that said, Liberal Arts, Windows Hall. 4chan guessed that Omegle thought that having this card was the only upside to having drunkenly slept with Gaia that one time at DeviantArt's Halloween party. Out of nowhere, YouTube showed up with his camera, eager to film what might be the most epic trolling battle of all time. Keycard in hand, 4chan walked out to the cold November night. It was the 14th, the night he had promised that little airhead Tumblr that he would put her in her place. As he walked on the path past the Macintosh lecture building, he encountered Firefox and Safari walking out of Professor Jobs' seminar on operating systems. "Hey 4chan, what are you doing out in this weather?" said Safari as they approached him. "I'm gonna go sort out Tumblr once and for all," he said with no explanation. Then, as if it were an afterthought, he asked, "Where's Internet Explorer? I was with you guys when you left." Firefox spoke this time. "Dude, that little bitch went back to his dorm right away. He kept complaining about how cold it was the entire seminar, and then he just ran for it when we got outside." 4chan snorted, "God, he's always freezing." The three friends laughed, and Firefox and Safari decided to follow 4chan and YouTube to see what was going on. When they reached the cafeteria and admissions building, they encountered Icanash Cheeseburger, Meme Generator, Flickr, and Photo Bucket as the four left the dining hall. They had heard about the upcoming confrontation from Twitter, who was calling everyone she knew to tell them about what was going on between Tumblr and 4chan. Twitter also apparently reached another friend, Blogspot, who was furiously typing away in his room in the process of writing a very lengthy and opinionated post about what was happening. Not that anyone was going to read it. The four newcomers joined the growing crowd that was advancing on Microsoft Hall, and if anyone looked at the window, they were able to see the group making their way through the November night to the building ahead of them. Inside of Microsoft Hall, there was plenty of activity going on. Almost everyone knew that 4chan was coming. He had announced it earlier in the day, and Twitter had been telling everyone both 4chan and Tumblr were her trending topics that night. Friendster kept running up and down the halls, knocking on doors and repeating over and over that 4chan is coming and we're all gonna die and I can't do this and I don't want to die and I love you all and OMG. No one was really listening to her anyways. MySpace just turned the music up louder and went back to ignoring them all, not interested in anything that was going on with anyone else. By the time 4chan was almost at Microsoft Hall, his entourage had grown to include Uvu, Skype, and Chat Roulette, who were quickly joined by Zshare and Divix. Z and Div had been watching a movie with Mega Video, but he kicked him out halfway through because his girlfriend, Money, came home early. 4chan finally reached the building and swiped the keycard to let everyone in. The now rather large group stood in the foyer, warming themselves for a moment, and 4chan addressed them. "Maybe you guys should just stay here. This is between me and Tumblr, not any of you." The group was quiet for a second, and then they all burst out into laughter. "Yeah, right," said Chatwillet. "Like, we're gonna miss this." The rest of the group nodded and agreed, and 4chan sighed and began leading them upstairs to the floor he knew Tumblr's dorm was on. As they passed their dorms on Tumblr's floor, people looked out to see what was going on. IMDb saw the group and saw YouTube filming and mused to herself, "I could totally make a movie out of this. It would make millions. I'm gonna have to talk to YouTube about that footage once this is all done." Peeked his head out into the hallway to see what was going on, but soon went back to watching the Rock of Love marathon on VH1 with eHarmony and Plenty of Fish. 4chan finally reached Tumblr's room, number 394. He dropped his bag and started pulling out the tools for humiliating, disgusting, and annoying the hell out of Tumblr. In a box next to the door that was labeled Hate, Love, Anons, TMIs, and FMKs, he shoved several cans of spam He did a bunch of horror film stills under her Doctor Who, Supernatural, Gossip Girl, Vampire Diaries, True Blood, Skins, and Big Bang Theory decorated door. Finally, he slipped a large stack of porn pictures under the crack between the door and the floor and waited for her reaction. Within a few moments, the door opened and a face poked out. It wasn't Tumblr. It was Tiny Chat. "Are you looking for Tumblr?" she said sweetly. 4chan grimaced at her annoying voice. "You know I am. Have her come to the door so I can finish trolling." Another head popped out, taller than the previous. "Why should we let you troll our friend?" said Aim. Oh god. "Girls, get out of the way. I'm gonna get her whether you like it or not," 4chan growled. A tinkling laugh sounded from inside the room, and the door opened all the way. "Oh, girls, get out of the way. I'll deal with them." Tumblr, dressed only in a tank top and pajama shorts, was standing in the doorway, clutching the cracked stack of porn pictures. She shuffled through them, and then looked at the gory and violent stills in the door. And then she laughed. "Oh, Channy, did you really think those were gonna scare me? I mean, have you ever seen True Blood? Have you ever read any of these stories me and fan fiction write?" she said, indicating her roommate, Fanfiction, who was lying on her bed, staring at the mob at the door. Tumblr continued. "Seriously, we wrote out things that would make you cringe. Sonic screwdrivers go places they were never meant to go. And Severus Snape's big nose can be very helpful if you catch my drift. Wink." 4chan gulped, his purry mind immediately grasping what she was talking about. 4chan gulped, unable to speak, as his mouth had suddenly gone very dry. Tumblr noticed this, and, turning to roommate and friend, asked in a soft, pleasant voice, "Hey girls, can you give me and Channy here a minute? Why don't you entertain all those girls and boys out here?" she said, indicating a crowd that was bunched around her dorm room door. Fanfiction, Aim, and Tiny Chap swept out of the room, giggling as they went, and before he could move his feet, 4chan felt himself being pulled in the room by the front of his jacket. After pushing her guest in the room and closing the door behind him, Tumblr turned around to face him, hands on hips, her hair almost falling out of its messy bun. Before she spoke, Tumblr reached to pull out the elastic band holding the escaping hairs, and, as she did so, exposed a small strip of smooth, pale skin to 4chan's searching eyes. He had never really looked at Tumblr before. She was in a few of his classes, but they didn't really have that much direct contact. The only common friend they had was Meme, and even then, they didn't hang out with him at the same time. As he looked her up and down, he discovered what he had been missing by not socializing more with her group of friends. Tumblr was a regulation hottie, not flamboyantly like Twitter or Facebook, more subtly. She had curves in all the right places and wasn't creepily skinny like some other girls. She wore glasses, but not thick, obnoxious ones that made you look like you were trying too hard to be rebellious. Her eyes were a piercing green, and she had a sprinkling of freckles across her small nose. He lingered for almost a whole minute on her full lips, almost unable to tear his eyes away from how the lower one was slightly fuller than the larger, and how it looked when she bit it like she was now. In truth, Tumblr was examining 4chan too. She never looked at him, had only heard stories of his computer skills and ridiculous nerdiness. But she didn't judge based on others' opinions, after all. She loved a lot of the same things that he supposedly did. She didn't really remember why he was even mad. "So," she broke the silence, "why are you even here again?" 4chan tried to look angry, but he was still sort of preoccupied with tearing his eyes away from Tumblr's fantastic legs. They looked great in the pajama shorts she was wearing. She actually filled the leg holes instead of looking like she was swimming in them. He began grasping for some type of answer. "Well, you posted something about trolling me, and, people don't do that," he trailed off. Toma just laughed at his attempt to look indignant and act tough. She had a clear, silly laugh, one that made everyone else want to laugh, even if the subject wasn't particularly funny. It was all 4chan could do to keep himself from laughing. "Channy, I was really overtired when I wrote that, and I was on kind of nerd high from all the Harry Potter and Doctor Who trolling I had done on Omegle for the past couple of days. I didn't actually intend to troll you, I was just joking around. I think Twitter told Omegle about it, and that's why this whole mess got started." 4chan heard what she was saying, and it made a lot of sense. He really should just forgive and forget, but there's still one thing that was making him angry. "Stop calling me that ridiculous name," he said, almost growling out the words. Tumblr smiled and walked forward, causing 4chan to back up against the dorm room door. "What nickname, Channy boy?" "That nickname," he ground out, his jaw clenched together from anger. The jocks at his high school used to call him that, and he had never let people call him anything other than 4chan since entering school at University of Internet. Tumblr grinned and pressed close to a frustrating man in front of her. Their bodies were almost touching, and her face was only inches away from his. "Hey Chan, relax a little." Ugh. With that, she leaned the last few inches close to him, and their lips connected. The kiss was angry, hungry, and sweet, all wrapped up into one physical gesture. Tumblr was sexually frustrated, thinking all her life that she would be forever alone, and 4chan was angry about being teased by the very girl he felt like he was falling for. 4chan flipped Tumblr around, so he's now pushing her against her own door, and caught hold of both her wrists, pinning them above her head. She laughed her beautiful laugh and said, "We're like some kind of teen movie, aren't we, Chan?" He tried for several long moments not to laugh, but her joy was infectious. They were both soon alternating between hungry kisses and uncontrollable giggles. Soon their forays became more serious, with the laughter dying down and the kissing and touching becoming more animalistic and passionate. Tumblr finally pushed 4chan back from the doorway and onto her bed, falling on top of him. Clothing was soon being pulled off by both parties, and connections of all sorts were being made. Meanwhile, outside in the hallway, everyone had long since stopped trying to hear what was going on inside Tumblr's dorm, and people were getting bored. Luckily, Facebook showed up, and then with snacks and alcohol, and a party was started one floor down in the large suite that DeviantArt, Gaia, and LiveJournal shared. Oblivious to the festivities, 4chan and Tumblr were getting to know each other better than ever, and as they each neared their climax, Tumblr took her chance to piss off 4chan in the best way. She maneuvered her way on top, and, while distracting him with some very specific skills, she leaned down to whisper in his ear at the exact moment he let go. "What is air?" At the moment, 4chan was way too busy drowning in his own climax and the feeling of Tumblr orgasming around him to fully pay attention to what she had said. But several moments later, when they were both catching their breath, he remembered what she had said. Instead of yelling or getting up to leave, he put an arm around her, pulled her in close, and tucked her hair behind the ear to allow him to hear her better. Her to hear him better. "What even?" he responded in a satisfied and blissful voice. Down below, unbeknownst to both the unlikely couple and the raging party, in one of the few dorms in the Linux building, a face appeared at a window. It was MSN, looking out to the cold night and wondering why no one ever returned his calls, why invited him to parties. Poor MSN.